my name is Andrew Lowe and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the new driver environment. What we can see here is that we still have a number of grouped buttons and controls that are all very logically laid out for the driver, with the driver in mind. So if we start to the left of the steering wheel to the panel, we have our active safety control buttons here. We also have to the right of this our driveline options for lift axles and ride heights and diff controls. Within the multiple driven axles, we also have a rotating dial here to easily access through the different interaxle and full diff and all-wheel drive functionality. And below this, you also have some additional options for your collision warning and emergency braking, and your cab tilt and your driver alert support, etc. Conveniently located in front of the driver's left knee area is our climate control panel. So this is nicely tucked out of the way, but at the same time accessible for setting and making adjustments to the climate of the cabin as and when required. Located above this, you have some of your media controls. If we move to the steering wheel, we have a number of controls that are accessible here for the driver to operate a number of different actions, namely for your cruise control and for navigating through the menu displays without the need to remove the hand from the steering wheel. In this current vehicle as well, we have the adjustable steering column with the neck tilt as well, which means any driver of any size is able to get into a comfortable position. So we have our standard indicator stalk on the left hand side, and we have our auxiliary braking stalk on the right, and then located again nicely tucked away out of the way we have our wiper controls. Then we have our I-shift control lever, easily controllable between our automatic and manual modes and your reverse. We have our toggle switch that is now operated with your thumb to do your manual up and down shifting. And we also have this mode switch that is located on top of the I-shift housing in order to toggle through your different various driving modes that will be available. Another new feature that we've also introduced is road sign recognition. This is a standard feature, and through the camera that is located at the top of the windscreen, we will actually read the physical road signs as and when we're driving past them, and this information is displayed for the driver, relayed into the bottom left-hand side of the information display. So now let's take a more detailed view at our new driver information display. So this is a 12-inch digital display, which gives us the possibility to show varying amounts of different information, of which can all be controlled by the controls located here on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. So if we use our navigation arrows up and down here, we can actually scroll through some of our default displays. We start here with our traditional home page, which is very much an analog style gauge system. We also have a more focused view here that is more of a digital version. Then we have our next navigation display, if the navigation is optioned. And we also again have a optional load view, which will display the load indicator as well. So at any point when you are navigating through any of the different screens or the different menu structure, which again I will show in a few minutes, there is also a home button that can be pressed at any time that will always default you back to that main home screen. And here is the bulk of the information that the driver needs to do their job essentially. So we have our traditional analog view, as I've mentioned, akin to many previous Volvo generations. So that means we have our large speedo located like a halo ring at the center of the cluster, and then we have our digital speed readout that can actually be changed using our left and right arrows on the steering wheel to a gauge of choice, whether that would be air pressure, turbo pressure, so on and so forth. Located below that to the left hand side, we have our driving mode, and will be a default of the economy. And using our mode switch that is located on top of the physical I-shift lever, if that is optioned, you can toggle through your economy mode into your standard mode, and then again, if applicable, we have our performance mode and into heavy duty mode as well, for the heavy haulage vehicles, etc. Next to that, you have your gear shift position, so you can always see whether you're in neutral, automatic, manual or reverse, and you can also see your current selected gear to the right of that. Then over to the right hand side of it, you can see your auxiliary stalk brake lever position. So all the way to the top would be in your A position, which is your automatic, to give you brake blending and eye roll. Just below this, you will then have your rev gauge, which will also display your green band or your efficiency area, and of course highlight your over rev band there, highlighted in red as well. If we then take our focus to the left hand side of the display on this home screen, you will have your fuel data. So this is your average MPG. It will also give your instantaneous consumption and also your range, your fuel range. Located below this as well is your current tachograph activity. So we are reading that from the tachograph, and we can actually now display that for the driver in the bottom left hand corner. On your right hand side, it is more regarding your media options. So this is your current radio station, or if you're on a call, it will give you that current call information as well. Located below that is your traditional current trip, so your T1 and T2, and also your total vehicle mileage on the bottom right hand side as well. In order to navigate through any of these options that you have on this home screen, you can easily select your menu button here, indicated by 3 lines. This will bring up various different menus. So we start with your trip computer. So here you can, again, using your navigation buttons and the central select OK button, you can go into your trip meter and you can perform any resets here, etc. You can also scroll to the right for your notifications. For an example, if your screen washer fluid is running low, that would be displayed here. Here we move into the next menu, which is called maintenance. And here you will find your pre-trip check reports and any service information or vehicle data that you might want to access as well. So a pre-trip inspection will automatically be done when you key on the vehicle in the background, and then it will display any results if required that requires the driver's attention. If, however, the driver does want to perform a manual check or force a pre-trip inspection, the driver can do this by selecting the OK and going into the subsequent menu. If you want to return back 1 step at any time, there is a back arrow located also on the steering wheel, so everything is nicely controlled from here, as so. If we then return back to our default home screen, we can now navigate to the next display. This is our focused display, and as mentioned, this is a more minimalist digital version of the home screen. So now, replacing the analog style speedo, we now just have our digital readout, and then below that we still have our powertrain information and again our rev RPM information as well. But now on the left hand side we have our driving times, which gives a very good detailed overview to the driver of their current driving activity and their total days activity as well. If we then select our next menu, which is our navigation display, which will be there if the navigation is equipped in the vehicle, and here you will see now that in the center of the screen, this has been filled with a map with the route highlighted as well. choosing our final of the 4 display options. This is based again on our focus view, but in the center there, instead of having your map as you would have with the navigation, this is now replaced with our load indicator. And this will display both the vehicle and display all the individual axle weights, as well as the axle groups and the total vehicle. And any trailer that is connected will also be displayed in this menu. And again, on the right-hand side, you will have your total weight information and your estimated payload calculation there as well. So if we now again return to our home screen and we move across and focus our attention to the control panel now on the steering wheel on the left-hand side, which is for the driver to be able to set through their different cruise control settings and modes. So firstly, most important button really to get everything going is this cruise control button here. Pressing this once will activate the cruise control functionality. And once that is going, if the vehicle is equipped with the IC or GPS based cruise control, that will automatically come into play. Additionally, if the vehicle is equipped with the adaptive cruise control, you can also use this button to toggle through either being in the standard cruise control or to the ACC function as well. Moving across then, once the driver is accelerated up to their desired cruising speed or set speed, we have our set button located in the middle, and we can adjust the speed incrementally by pressing our minus and plus buttons here. We have our cancel button and we have our resume button. If we then focus our attention to the button located here, press this. This brings up the overspeed settings, which the driver can then select which maximum speed they want the vehicle to achieve on the declines. Again, if the vehicle is equipped with our ACC, it is possible to press this button here in order to adjust the distance to the vehicles that we are following. Again, select our desired distance and use our set buttons. And then finally, although that will be the functionality that would be used for 90% of the time by any long haul operator, we do have our downhill cruise control. So this means for more precision or let's say demanding driving scenarios where the driver feels that they are better to adjust their cruising speed to the environment for either hilly or curvy terrain environments, they can still bring up this functionality in order to set a downhill cruise or activate a downhill cruise, which will mean that when the driver releases the accelerator pedal and starts to make a decline, that the vehicle will still limit the amount of overspeed that the vehicle achieves. If we now move over to the 9-inch touchscreen display, we can operate this via 3 different methods. Firstly, we can use our display switch button here located on the steering wheel to switch the controls from the main dash display over to our media display, and then we can use our up, down and OK buttons in the same way as we did previously. Alternatively, you have your quick access buttons located below the display itself for the music, telephone, navigation and cameras. And then finally, as I mentioned, this is a touchscreen, so you can also use the digital buttons located on the screen itself. So firstly, we have our home screen, just displays a clock, and we also have the option to look at our notifications if we have any. And then we have our menu display icons down at the bottom of the touchscreen, which we can start from left to right. We have our music function. This is where you control your radio or your Bluetooth devices or anything such like that. We have our communication tab, which if you have your phone wirelessly paired via Bluetooth, is very easy to do. And then you can control your phone book, contact lists, recent calls, anything like this. We also have our assignment tab, which will display any of our Volvo Dynafleet telematics data and so on, and also the TomTom navigation, if that is also optioned. We have our vehicle menu. This is where, for example, we can go into our Volvo dynamic steering, again, if that is an option on the vehicle, and we are able to set our personalized settings. We can also set things such as our parking heater timers, and go into more detailed views on load indicator and tyre pressure monitors, and also access our cameras. We also have My Apps, which is customizable in order to download and install various different third-party applications. And we have finally our settings area, where we can set the different vehicle settings, such as climate or road sign recognition, which we have now also in the cluster that we can turn on or off. Or alternatively, we can also go into system settings, where we can select languages, where we can also set date and time and so on. And importantly, where you can select the different units, whether that be metric or imperial, miles per gallon, in miles per hour or in kilometers per hour, etc. So, now that we've taken a look through the new driver environment on the displays and controls, I hope this was of some use to you. I'm sure you'll agree it's an extremely intuitive design and layout, and I would just like to thank you for watching.